Hi guys. Okay, so I am actually at the Denver Airport this morning. So it's a little bit different. I'm got a lot of background noise, so you guys are gonna have to bear with me, but I wanted to be sure and show up for you today, no matter what. So today we're talking about the title of this is it's about the number one longevity and body composition thing you need right now. Hi, Brienne. Good morning. And when you guys are here, let me know you're here. I'm in the airport, so we're going to have to improvise. I tried to find the quietest place I could between now and my next flight, but I definitely wanted to come on this morning because I've been doing a lot of research lately. I'm kind of geeking out over, I've got my studious glasses on today. I've been geeking out over just more longevity and more things that can really pull you forward into your healthiest life. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this thing called protein. So I know it's talked about a lot in the health and wellness industry. It's talked a lot about and changing your body composition. But I really wanted to talk to you about the actual mechanisms of why protein is so important and why you need it right now and how much you need and how much is going to help you not only create the body composition that you want, but it's also going to actually help you like diminish the risk of certain cancers, inflammatory diseases, and also Alzheimer's. Pretty crazy, right? So what's interesting about protein is having protein dense tissue, meaning having muscle tissue on your body, is one of the number one ways we can create longevity in our life, and actually also one of the number one ways we can stay healthy. It's metabolically active, which means it not only takes a lot of fatty acids to run as a metabolic tool, but it also takes a lot of glucose or carbohydrates, right? So when we have a lot of muscle mass on our frame, right, it not only protects us from disease and a lot of inflammatory diseases, but it also helps keep our body composition correct, and it actually can help us prevent Alzheimer's. It's pretty crazy. So this is a very underutilized tool, but there's a certain way we can utilize protein and we can increase our muscle mass on our body, because the goal is using protein as a tool to increase our muscle mass, meaning the muscle we carry on our frame, because that's going to ultimately protect us. Okay, so what I want to share with you guys about that is a lot of people ask me all the time, being in this industry for almost 15 years now and coaching literally over 1,000 people into their healthiest lives. I get asked this question a lot, right? So you're from Miami, awesome. Hi, Miami, how you doing? So what I want to talk to you guys about is the importance of it and why. So what happens with protein is people don't understand this, but it feeds our muscle, right? Really does feed our muscle, and it keeps our muscle on our frames. The other thing that I really want to talk to you guys about is lean muscle mass is actually, like I said, metabolically active, but it's also an organ, right? So it's an organ that has the ability to really help our endocrine system, which is our hormone mechanism, to operate correctly. So when we have enough muscle mass on our frame, right, we not only burn more calories, but we actually use more fatty acids and glucose or carbohydrates to function every day. So this is really important to understand. So if you have some metabolically active tissue on your body, like muscle, right, that's going to protect you from heart disease. It's going to protect you from any kind of arteriosclerosis. It's going to protect you from lots of inflammation and inflammatory diseases, but it's also going to keep your body composition healthy. So I think the way that we think about weight loss in our country is really backwards, right? So I think what happens is being overweight or obese is a symptom of not having enough muscle mass on our frames, right? And so I think that a really good thing to think about is shifting the paradigm into creating a stronger frame with more muscle tissue that's a metabolically healthy organ to support our metabolism and to support our endocrine system, our hormone system. So when we have a lot of muscle tissue on our frames, it's really, really imperative that it keeps us healthy. It actually can help us prevent things like COVID, right? It can help your body be more able to process glucose and put you into gluconeogenesis, which is kind of a long thing of saying how to manage glucose in your system. But the other thing that's really cool about this is, you guys, what happens when we have a lot of muscle tissue on our frame is we require more protein or calories, right? So the trick is learning what to eat and how much of it to eat. So a lot of times people don't eat quite enough protein. And the reason why it's important to get the amount of protein correct is because you have to actually get to a certain threshold of amino acids. So if you're not at a certain point of amino acid threshold, your body can't trigger something called mTOR, which is it's a long metabolic cycle that helps your body have protein synthesis, create more muscle mass, create more muscle. So what I really want you guys to focus on is if you're not getting enough protein, you're probably not also getting enough amino acids. So this is why sometimes some of those diets that people go on, like keto, or they go on a really low carb diet, but they, instead of eating healthy proteins, they eat too much fat. Or maybe sometimes people go on a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet and it works for them for a short amount of time, but long term they start to have some negative effects. That's what happened to me. I'd much rather eat a vegetarian lifestyle. However, it just doesn't work for me. And even keto doesn't work for me because I need more protein. It helps my endocrine system turn on, my thyroid turn on, and my cortisol turn down. So this is a really important thing to remember. So what I recommend is making sure that you're getting that amino acid threshold and getting enough protein in your diet. So what you really want to make sure is that with every time you're eating a meal with protein in it, and if you are a vegetarian, getting a complete amino acid or essential amino acid meal is possible. It's just a little bit more challenging with a lot of carbohydrates, right? So what we really want to focus on is getting at least 2.5 grams of leucine, right? 2.5 grams of leucine. That's kind of your threshold with the protein that you intake. So if you're eating animal protein, you're likely going to get it if you're getting 4 to 6 ounces of protein at a time. You're going to get that leucine threshold. The reason why that leucine threshold at 2.5 grams is important, you guys, is because it actually triggers that mTOR, which is that protein synthesis, which helps you build more muscle-dense, healthy tissue that's metabolically active. Okay? So what does that look like? Well, it's important because with every meal, you really want to space out your protein equally, right? Because you want to elicit that mTOR, that response every time you eat, so that your body gets into the process of growing and utilizing and keeping all the lean tissue that's healthy organ on our body. Okay, so what I want to help you guys with here today is I like to use this really easy way to understand if you're getting enough protein or not. The way that I actually do this is I weigh 130 pounds, give or take a couple pounds every day, right? So if I weigh 130 pounds and I have, let's say I have 23 pounds of body fat on my system, that's about 18% body fat, 16% body fat. I'm just guessing right now. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while. But that means that I'm going to need about 110 grams of protein, complete protein with complete amino acids every day. So that's about 32 to 35 grams of protein-rich, dense food with every meal if I'm eating 3 meals a day. Typically, I eat like a late breakfast, and then I have a snack in the midday, and then I have a dinner, right? So throughout that, I want to make sure I'm prioritizing my protein so that I'm getting at least 130 grams of protein per day. That's minimum. 110 grams of protein per day. If I'm 130 pounds and have about 25 pounds of body fat on my system. I don't know what I have right now. I'm guessing. So what you want to do is you want to take your lean body tissue and you want to give yourself in pounds that amount of grams of protein per day, equally spread throughout the day so that you can elicit that mTOR response in your system and that good endocrine, good hormone response in your system. Does that make sense, guys? So whatever your body weight is, if you know your body fat, great. If you can guess, that's great. But what you really want to do is if you, for example, are overweight right now, and you really want to focus on getting more protein into your system, the way to do that is say, okay, what is your ideal body weight? So if your ideal body weight, say you're 200 pounds and say you want to be 150 pounds, you want to aim for around 150 grams of protein per day. Okay. Now I typically get 130 to 135 grams of protein a day. 110 just doesn't cut it for me. I need my full body weight in grams, and you can kind of play with that depending on your caloric needs. But what I do is I load that to where I start with my protein, and then after that I get my green leafy vegetables and good healthy fats. And if I have a need for other carbohydrates like fruits or quinoa or something like that, or beans, I will do that. But typically, or a sweet potato, whatever that looks like, a red potato, typically what I do is I really just start with my protein, work into my fats, have some green leafy vegetables, hydrate, and then if I need carbohydrates, if I'm extremely active that day or doing an endurance type of workout, then I will add some carbohydrates in, okay? And that's the way that I prevent myself from being skinny fat. You don't want to be skinny fat, because what happens is if you don't give yourself enough protein to elicit that complete amino acid profile, to elicit then that mTOR response in your body, you will end up skinny fat. You might not be overweight, but you won't have the body composition that you want. So that's the problem, I think, with this paradigm of weight loss in our country. I don't think that being obese is the problem. I think that it's a symptom of not having enough muscle mass, right? Because the muscle mass will actually help you burn more calories, use more fatty acids for fuel, use more glucose or carbohydrates for fuel, so that you can create that body composition that's important. So this is really important for longevity as well. They actually look at, there's been studies done, and I can't cite them exactly right now, but you can find them yourself. I can actually cite them later if you're interested. That the wider your waist, the smaller your brain. Isn't that interesting? So what happens is some of the gray matter gets flattened the longer we stay overweight in our life, right? So flattening that gray matter actually increases our risk of Alzheimer's in our life. So if we can stay at a healthy weight, hi Tiffany, good morning. If we can stay at a healthy weight, guys, our gray matter is going to stay nice and robust, and that gives us an opportunity to probably not get Alzheimer's in our life. So those are some things that are really important to consider when you're thinking about the way that you nourish your body, you're thinking about the way that you're active. There's lots of studies that show that being physically active with resistance training is the #1 way to keep and maintain strong muscle mass or good muscle tissue, that healthy organ that's actually part of our endocrine system. The other thing too, though, is honestly, there have also been counter studies saying that it's actually more important to get more protein. Combining the two is vital. Right? Combining the two is like you're just nailing it. So if you can include some strength training in your routine consistently, and you can get to that mark where for you, for your body composition, for your weight, you can elicit that leucine response, that goes to the mTOR response, you guys are good. Okay? Sorry. I'm trying really hard. So let's review really quickly. Good job. Good job, you guys. Okay, thanks for being here. So check it out. So if your weight loss goal is, say you want to be 150 pounds, let's back into this. I really recommend you getting at least 130 to maybe even like 135 grams of protein a day. You can even push it up to 150 if you're a man. Okay, so you really want to stay in that range. I typically cannot get less than 110 grams of protein a day based on my body weight. I'm 130 pounds. I usually tend to get around 130, 135. Okay, so remember, I always talk about my high performance grade fuel. This goes right along with it, you guys. Okay, so high performance grade fuel stands for hydrate. The P is protein. So as you can see, it's my #1 high performance protein, #1 thing. Grade, greens, fuel, fat. So I just basically said high performance grade fuel, right? So this is what I want to share with you guys this morning. As I've been doing a lot of research on longevity and protein and muscle tissue and what it actually does to the endocrine system, and it's powerful tools. So if you can keep that healthy tissue on your body as long as possible, good quality muscle tissue on your body, it's going to protect you against disease. It's going to protect you against osteoporosis. It's going to protect you against even diseases like COVID, guys. And it's going to actually decrease inflammation in your body, because the protein, the actual muscle tissue on your body eats up that inflammatory junk. It's metabolically active. But you've got to get enough protein and enough amino acids at each serving to elicit that mTOR response, which comes from at least 2.5 grams of leucine, about 1 gram of valine. There's a couple others, but the essential amino acids that our bodies don't produce on our own. Okay. Now, another trick to this is if you're really strictly dieting, and this is another trick and tip. If you're strictly dieting and you're really trying to keep your calories low, I get that. I get it. A good way to actually still get that response, elicit that mTOR, is to include something like an amino acid supplement, like an amino acid drink with your meals, so that together, right, with the fuel you're getting from the food, the protein and the amino acids together will create that response. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, thanks, you guys. I'm glad this is supporting you. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Livier. Thank you. Oh, good, Brianna. I'm so glad that you're down. You're on your path to a healthier life. That's awesome. Good for you. So, guys, if you have questions on this, let me know. I hope I explained it well. I just wanted to make sure I shared with you some of the information that I'm learning, that I'm educating myself with. I do my very best to dedicate a certain amount of time every week to learn in all different ways, whether it be health and wellness, whether it be mindset work and the psychology of how our brain works and function, whether it be with past emotional trauma, whatever it is, I'm educating myself. And this week I dedicated some time to longevity and the effects of having good, strong muscle tissue on our metabolism. And remember, it is an organ, so is fat. Fat is an organ as well. So you get to choose how you support your system and what organs you feed and what organs you starve, right? All right, guys. So have a great day. I'm going to get on my plane. I'm heading back to Idaho. I had a great trip with my dad, and I did not eat my Fit Fuel bars. I left them for my dad, if anyone's wondering. All right, you guys have a wonderful Friday and have a great weekend. Get your protein in. Make it a priority today. Oh, one more thing. Protein also eases anxiety and that little brain thing that goes, oh, I need to snack. Oh, I need to eat more food. Oh, I'm not satisfied, that you get about an hour after you eat if you don't eat enough protein. So if you're getting those cravings, it's a good indicator that you haven't eaten enough protein to elicit that mTOR response at each meal. It's a good indicator that you're not getting enough. Weigh your protein out if you have to understand. But I always say for a woman, it's about the palm, size of your palm. It's about 4 to 5 ounces. That's enough for most women. That's enough for you. If you're extremely active, I would say go a little bit bigger in your palm. That's a good measuring start, right? So whenever I eat some protein, I make sure it's at least that big, if not a little bigger, right? Okay, guys, now I'm going. I'll see you soon.